Welcome back to the Strive Studio Marketing Podcast. Today we're just going to be chilling, hanging out. We're outside. The weather is absolutely fantastic. It is the perfect temperature.
69 degrees.
69 degrees, and that's just the perfect number anyways. But today we're just going to be going over some pretty general topics, just sort of hanging out, talking just stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
And from there, I don't even know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but welcome back. We're excited. This is going to be episode 2. As you can see, we got a golf course behind us. Someone literally just hit my neighbor's fence. So whoever they are, they're boo-boo. But we're really excited to be back with the second episode. We have a couple updates for you guys. I know in the first episode we had talked about our scheduling. Our scheduling for this, though, is going to be, we've decided to switch it up just a little bit. Instead of all these being super business focused, we're going to save a month recap for the end of every month, and we'll have that last episode of every single month just allow us to deep dive into our business, share a little bit more about the progress that we've made over the month, because otherwise with weekly updates you probably won't be seeing like a crazy amount. It'd be very short.
Yeah.
So we're gonna spread those out a little bit and make sure to share with you guys. But then other than that, as you can see, we also want to make this a mobile podcast. We have some more ideas than just my backyard for where we could do this. But we figured since it's some nice weather that we might as well hop out and shoot outside today. But we do have some other ones lined up, including utilizing the golf course a little bit more, hopefully at night, and have a cool little setup there. But we're ready to dive back into it. And I think the best place to start is, as you guys know, we have the goal of once we hit our first revenue goal, we'll be in Vegas hopefully by that time. And we're looking forward to having an incredible meal. We've been looking around at some of the restaurants and we can't really decide. There are too many good restaurants there to pick from. So we do need your help. If you guys know any restaurants in Vegas or have any suggestions in the area, literally from what we saw, it seems like we could afford to do pretty much any of the restaurants. So yeah, whatever you guys think would be pretty solid.
What would also be cool is hiring a private chef. For
That
the
would
whole
be dope.
squad.
Yeah, that would be dope. I wonder
know.
how expensive that is, though.
To cook for 6 people, I feel like for one event, I feel like that couldn't be too much. The issue is
Yeah.
we'll be in a hotel room,
And we don't know what hotel room yet.
Yeah. So if anyone can get us into a hotel room and get us food all for free, let us know. Send us a DM.
For free. We don't want to pay for any of this
Yeah.
anymore.
We'll trade photography services for one night.
Exactly. While they cook for us, we'll shoot and expo all their stuff. But really, that got me thinking about what the best meal that I've currently ever eaten is. And hopefully the Vegas meal will top it. But honestly, my expectations are quite high. I have a very odd best meal ever. I went out to Norway where eating whale is legal. And figured, if I'm in the area, I might as well give it a shot. But figured if I'm in the area where it's legal, who knows when the next time I would be back was. So got some whale. I have no clue what kind of whale it was, but I totally understand why whales were hunted to extinction, or near extinction, man. It was by far the best meal I've ever eaten. If you could just think of the best steak you've ever had, and then multiply that feeling that gave you by 10, 15, that is how good the whale steaks were. And it wasn't even like a professional chef. It was literally the family I was staying with in Norway cooked that up for me, and it was elite. It was so dense, like a steak maybe this big was quite filling.
Is it super fatty?
No, it's really lean because they have their blubber, and that's the fat that they carry.
Blubber.
But then behind the blubber is all of their meat. And so they're completely separated. So instead of it being crazily marbled or anything, it was just very lean meat. And super, super dense. But that one was pretty good.
If you could compare it to a specific steak, which one would it be?
I don't really know because I've never had Wagyu or anything. I've only had ground Wagyu.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Because I'll be honest, if you put a normal steak in front of me, like a sirloin, and then you put a New York strip in front of me, it pretty much tastes the same. It all just depends on how you prepare them.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the seasoning profile is the bigger difference there, to me at least. But that could just be that I've mostly eaten like 2 types of steak, sirloin or strips, my whole life.
Same.
So can't really say that.
I think I've only eaten filet mignon like twice.
Oh, I definitely have had a filet mignon as well.
Filet
But
mignon's pretty cool. Or pretty good.
yeah, but I feel like still, I've cooked a
it's not-
sirloin that tasted just as good just because
Yeah.
I know how to cook them.
But
So
also at the same time, if it was like professional filet mignon and then a professional meal strip, or you could notice the difference. But
yeah, that really could be the reason that I don't notice the difference too much. Is the vast majority of the steak I eat at home, and I make myself. So that could be it.
Yeah.
But I would say I'm a good enough chef that they're not professional chef quality, but they're keeping up with standards.
I would say my best meal that I probably had that I can think of off the top of my head was honestly eating those steaks on an island with Seth. the first steak specifically that we made was so good. The island so me and my friend Seth, we went out and you have to kayak to this island, and when you get out there, you're on, I don't know, it's probably like a couple of acre island maybe, and you're just in the
Maybe
middle
an
of this
acre.
lake, and you're just sitting there, and there's no one around you really besides boats that like randomly pass you, and you just cook a steak over a campfire. It just makes you feel like
A man.
yeah, a man pretty much. And then we had this beer that some guy on a boat actually dropped off for us, and then we beer battered our steaks, and it was the most just like juicy steak I've ever had in my life. Literally, you bit into it, and it was almost like an apple.
Yeah, I feel like for me, half of the food experiences, like they're better based on the environment that I'm in.
Yeah.
More because like the steaks that we cook over campfires out here
Yeah.
are way better than steaks that like I've had in restaurants, and
Yeah.
it's just because I'm in a way more enjoyable environment. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of like just thinking about some of the meals that come to my head in Los Angeles when we ate fish tacos, mahi tacos, which are
Mhm.
not like super fancy. They were like a decent price, but looking outside the whole like back wall that they have was just pure glass. And you're seeing rocks just like splash up on rocks. You're seeing water splash up on the rocks, and you see dolphins swimming through.
Was it like a gigantic wood building with a lot of glass? Like really modern looking though.
it wasn't really modern,
Oh.
but it was in Malibu.
Jarek and I went to a very similar restaurant when we went out to Vegas, and it was like just very wide open, a lot of real wood, like poles
Yeah.
as the structure, and then a lot of glass, and then like a ferry was coming in too. It was really cool.
Like that. But I mean, some of the, just like food experiences, like you said, are probably the best thing. I want to go to like Greece, where all those like white buildings are. You know what I'm talking about? And just eat up there.
Yeah. Have you seen the Italian restaurant where it's like through the cave side on the coast? I think it's like
That's
the
so sick.
Amari coast or something like that. That restaurant looks really good. One of Danny's friends, he's a lawyer from Canada, and he was just out there and ate in that restaurant, and I was so jealous. It looked so good.
I wonder if they have like a time where that restaurant will eventually erode. Like,
Probably, especially the way that they dug it out.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that the whole situation that they have was natural, and they just fit things into it.
Yeah.
Like they had to do some extra work themselves.
really.
So I would assume that it probably will have a little bit of a time.
Constraint.
Yeah,
At least
that it
like
can
100
have.
years.
Yeah, it's got to have enough time for us to get out there, but that's really all that matters. Yeah, I feel like the experience around it definitely has to really amplify the taste of some of the flavors, because even just like being outside and having fresh air while you eat is a
Nice.
difference versus eating the same exact meal inside and
It's
not
like
having.
tailgating.
Yeah.
It's a whole different experience. Because like
Yeah.
if you grill hamburgers are always good to eat and then eat at the dinner table. Like, that's a good experience. But if you're outside with your friends
Mhm.
at a college station or wherever you're at, it just makes everything better. So
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And then, I mean, just to expand a little bit more on, not that night specifically, but the second night that we went out to that island, the rest of the experience around that in general was also quite interesting. We, like we've said, we have a whole bunch of stories that we would love to have more of our friends come out and be on, but since we're 2/3 of the group who were there, I think it'd be cool to dive a little bit into what we did that night. So we had steaks similar to the ones that he had the first time that they were out there after having kayaked out to the island, and then there was this I think it was a full moon. It was either a full moon or I don't think it was a super
Yeah,
moon.
it was very close.
But either full or close, and there was the moonrise happening. So I mean, it's like 1 in the morning, and we were a little bit bored, so we decided that we would hop out into the water, and we started in the kayak, and we're planning, or the canoe, and we're planning on staying in the canoe. But then I dropped the light as I was hopping down into the canoe into the water, so I had to dive after that, and realized that the water actually felt quite incredible, because it was still the middle of the summer, so it was quite warm outside, and the water at night is always a little bit warmer from soaking up the sun all day. So we just decided, screw it, we were going to just sleep in the, or not sleep, but go swim through the water and observe the moon rising up over the mountains from in there, and that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. He's also leaving a small bit about that story out. We also skinny dipped.
Yeah, we were all butt naked, just swimming around in there, and that was, I mean, if you guys have never skinny dipped, make sure to take the time out of your life and find some water that you can do it in. Just don't be like AB. Don't do it in a public swimming pool. Do it in your pool or natural water where, you know, like, you're not going to get in trouble for what it is that you're doing. But then on top of that, another food experience that we had that same night, we ran into these just random people who were boating around. They were bow fishing, and what was the name of that fish?
I have
It was such a weird name. Whenever they said it, it was a buffalo fish, because they asked if we wanted buffalo ribs, and we were like, what are you even talking about? So these people drove up by us, and we yelled at them for something, and then they decided to offer us whatever they ended up killing, because apparently they just killed it to kill it, which was a little interesting. But they went and got us like 3 or 4 of these buffalo fish.
Fish are like this big too. They're not small fish.
Yeah, they were thick too.
Yeah.
And so I learned how to fillet a fish. Not really learned, literally just slit this bitch open and ripped its guts out, and then cut all the meat off, and filleted a fish right there on the coast and threw it into a fire. And we made our own buffalo ribs.
He said slit that bitch open.
But that was a pretty interesting experience that night as well. But like just being able to sit out under the stars and stuff, or not even sit, swim out under the stars. We even had a floaty, so that was real nice. Yeah. Whenever you could get not a floaty, a life jacket, and you would just hold on to that and look up.
But also the nice part about that is like no one was near us. Like there's a road, there's probably like a half-mile away that you have to kayak to, and so like just being out there, being by yourselves, it's just like one with nature. That's what you felt like. So I was like, just made the experience way better.
Yeah, really peaceful. But being able to look up into the sky, really always, like here we're very blessed that you can see a lot of the stars on a normal night. Like as long as it's not cloudy, like you guys can see here, it's pretty clear today. So tonight it'll probably be a nice little viewing night. But that always gets me enthralled with space, and especially like the progress that we're making, whether it's SpaceX or Virgin Galactic or anything like that. I'm just really intrigued to hear your thoughts on what you think space travel is going to be, but particularly, would you go to space, and what requirements are there for you to like make that journey?
I guess it'll depend on first of all, how safe it is, because I would rather not take a risky flight right now to just go up there, I don't think.
Yeah.
But if I could visit something like a space station or Mars, that would like turn up the notch just a little bit. But once space travel gets to where it's like getting on a plane, you fly up there, you go to your normal trip, and you just come right back down, that's what I'd probably do.
So speaking of being able to just fly up there, the Virgin Galactic, I think is what it's called. It's Richard Branson's space company. They just opened up a wait list, which I've joined. I have no clue like how long this wait list is or how much it'll even be. They don't tell you until they approve you for the list. But joined their wait list. I was one of the first 1,000, I think, or a couple thousand, for some space travel thing where it's pretty much like you just take an airplane up to space. But the jet that they use is really weird. It's like 3 airplane cabins, like literally separately 3 airplane cabins. So you have the 2 here and then the 1 in the middle, and they're connected by the wings and then by the boosters. And it looks really weird, but I definitely think that would be cool. So for me personally, it'll just depend on how safe that is whenever they get to my name on the wait list. But if I can afford it once my name's there, I'll at least take the quick journey up just to see what it's like.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Just the view,
Yeah.
just seeing like the whole world underneath you.
Yeah.
That'd be wild.
I think if it's within the next like 5 years, I would be willing to spend probably up to 6 months in space. I don't think I would want to do anything longer than that within the next 5 years.
It depends on how the experience is, because like if you're just in the space station,
Yeah, if I
that would
can't get out
kind
and
of
walk
suck.
anywhere, that'd be
Yeah.
boo-boo.
And that's why I kind of want to be like at Mars, or if they actually had like some sort of like resort at that point where you
Or
can
if they're like cruise ships, the spaceships that go up.
that'd be cool. Cruise around Mars and come back.
Take a nice
I
little
mean, that-
light speed journey.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that would be.
They've got to be thinking about that. You remember seeing when crypto was like really going off like last year? They were talking about having like advertisement boards that are pretty much just like up in the sky that
Yeah,
you could
floating
see
like
at events.
satellites.
That would be insane.
Yeah,
when
that would
that
be pretty
happens, market is going to take like a huge change.
Yeah, I think the two biggest things right now that will impact marketing greatly will be space and how you market around like what they can see, and then Web3. Because Web3 is going to be really interesting once we really push into a virtual space. Like, I would be very interested in going in and just buying up a whole bunch of property in Web3, literally to have it be billboards. Because whenever someone's walking around a community, they would still be able to see those same things, and you could build experiences around the billboards or something and do a lot with VR there. I think that could be pretty cool. But
You could advertise games almost.
yeah, exactly.
like
Like come into
in-person
this house and it's like a zombie escape house or
Yeah.
something. That would be pretty cool. But the concern with sending trash and stuff out into space, like
Yeah.
the whole matter
mass.
cannot be created or destroyed thing,
Yeah, that's what it is.
that is something that I would like to propose to you guys and hear your opinions on, because this is something that blew my mind like maybe a year ago or something, and I haven't done too much research into it. I probably owe it a little bit more, but you know the general theory that matter or mass cannot be created or destroyed, so therefore whatever we have is what we have. My big question is, a lot of the solutions for the trash problem on Earth is that we could just send it out to space and let it be like out in the mass infinity. And I bet if you did like the first 100 years of that even, you probably wouldn't have much of an impact on Earth. But who knows how much trash they're sending out. But if that is the case and mass cannot be, or matter cannot be created or destroyed, and you just sent all of that out into space and took what was once in Earth's atmosphere and just completely got rid of a lot, like ton of it over time, at what point does that have a negative enough impact on Earth's own mass that we either are affected more by the sun's gravity or the moon's gravity is impacted and either pulls it in or pushes it out? Because I feel like that's got to be something that we need to pay attention to more, with how much people are just saying, well, we could just send our trash out to space.
Well, if you think about that, how much, I mean, I'm sure y'all as a household probably go through a couple of bags of trash a week. At least we do. We probably like two. Not like,
Yeah,
not
I mean,
like joking.
downstairs alone, I'll go through 1 or 2 by myself.
Yeah, so if you have that much trash out of each house each week, that is a butt ton of trash.
Yeah, that you're
That is-
just shooting out.
Yeah.
But let us know what you think about that. And if you happen to know Elon or something, put us in contact with them, because from how much I see this stuff, I feel like somehow no one's thought about this.
Yeah. But also at the same time, I'm still just sitting here wondering how you burn a cardboard box and it literally disintegrates to nothing and there's not like a change of matter. How does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the smoke is still going off, and that is,
I guess
to
that's
some
true.
extent, all of that same matter being at least kept within the
But
environment.
still, like if you have a humongous cardboard box, it turns into just little crumbs.
Yeah, that is true. Like that, all the ash in the bottom of the fire pit that we usually use, it has built up from like 5 or 6 fires,
Yeah.
and
We
that
burned
was
so
so much wood,
Yeah.
so much wood, so much cardboard, so much everything. So that's pretty interesting. But
We could probably figure that out if we looked it up. Like, how does wood not lose matter when you
Yeah.
burn it?
well, I guess mass and matter is like also partially the energy that it is. So the fire is energy, like that's all fire is. But yeah, I don't really know. But we would love some input on that to figure that out a little
If
bit.
someone
more.
can send us a good link to a video to learn more about that stuff, send us a link.
Because my other thing is like with science and space in general, 95% of everything that we study are technically theories. Like none of them are actual laws. Like the laws of gravity are not even 100%. Like we don't know that that's really it. They're all technically theories.
Yeah.
And if all of this space stuff is just theories, then not to get too conspiracy theory wise into this, but how much of it is that the government knows a lot more than we do, and they're like, this sounds believable enough. If we tell them this, that'll at least make them not like dive into it or think about it too much more, and we can get away with it. Because if you look into a lot of these, most of them don't make any logical sense. But
I was also thinking about this as far as like scientists go and all of these theories that are getting made up all the time. None of them are just like making a TikTok account and just like posting like their updates and stuff about this.
yeah,
No one is like using. I feel like most of like the science stuff that you find out about is either on blog posts or eventually it'll hit like a big enough news article where people will start making TikToks, but not the actual scientists themselves are making.
yeah, that would be really interesting. I
'Cause I
wonder
feel
if
like-
that's because of their personality though. Like you know how engineers are not like quite the business type
Yeah,
people. They
that-
can't talk
that's
as well.
racist.
Yeah.
You're canceled. No, I'm just kidding.
But like it could just be that their personality type isn't
Yeah.
the type to make them want to be doing that. Because like that John Green guy, the one who wrote all those romance books, but is also a scientist, but also had like, we watched all of his videos in high school where he would just dive into all this different history and science theory and stuff. Seems to be one of the few, him and Neil deGrasse Tyson,
I know who that
like
is.
the only people who really are in that space and publicly putting out knowledge like that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I've never thought about that.
But also,
Especially cancer research. No one is.
well, that one's like the slipperiest of all the slopes.
Well, it'd be interesting because it's like, oh, I just made this finding, like maybe even if it's just like some sort of small cell that not many people know about and stuff like that. Just small little updates on how it's.
Yeah. Well, anytime that people put out anything about
Oh, yeah, they
cancer
die.
research, they typically disappear, and that's like very well studied, very well
Yeah, it's
looked
very
into.
odd.
So that one's pretty interesting.
It's also like the engine that can run off of water.
Mm-hmm.
It was-
That guy died
Yeah.
forever ago, and that was built in like 1920 or something.
Fell off the earth. These
Yeah.
no longer existed.
And there was an African kid a couple years ago who did the same thing. I have no clue what happened to him. Now I just know that he was
Not here anymore.
But yeah, clearly we're not hearing about him. So maybe their fear is around not necessarily being canceled, which is a fear that like other people have, but about being permanently deleted.
I wonder at what point. Yeah, that's interesting because like I'm sure the government has to be like paying attention to enough things or
Mhm.
have enough like knowledge around this area where if something is going to make a major change, the government probably gets into it a little bit.
Oh yeah, to at least some extent, like whether it even subsidy wise, because like even with like electrical cars and stuff, those would have not necessarily still, or at least Tesla wouldn't be around where it was today if they hadn't been bailed out to some extent. I know that they paid
Yeah.
all their debt off and it doesn't really matter and blah 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 blah, but they wouldn't be here if they didn't get saved. So
Yeah.
the saving sort of was a big deal there. But like with Neil deGrasse Tyson and stuff, I wonder if it is that fear of building that personal brand and attaching yourself too closely to controversial topics or evolving science that you would be scared that someone would come and get you.
Yeah. Do scientists have like a network where they can all go talk to each other?
I would assume they have.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they can reach out to like Twitter and all that stuff, but like a legit network only for scientists just to communicate.
I bet like through universities, because that's where the vast majority of our science is driven, that they have a good network from like one university to another. Because one of my mentors at FSU was a lot more like a STEM entrepreneur. He was a chemist who did a lot of stuff with that. And there's this thing called the tech transfer, where like all the universities will build these cool things and then they put it into a tech transfer and then they share all their research and data that way, where you can like what you could even do is I've tried doing this in the past, like go through a university's tech transfer website, seeing all the tech that they own, and you can actually license it out from them and you can make money off of whatever they made, because most of the time the scientists who make those things going back to the fact that like engineers aren't necessarily the best business people, they do they go through that same process. They build this, they get the research, they get the science, and then they don't know how to market it or build a business around it. And that's a big thing with the tech transfer market. So that could, or I would assume that they have to have some amount of
Communication.
yeah, especially like in-depth communication where they're sharing a little bit more. But yeah, that would be very interesting to find out. I feel like I had one more closing thought there, but it has slipped my mind. So
My closing thought for this podcast, let me know how the audio sounds on this podcast, because what I was thinking as we've been talking, having a mic right here would probably just sound a lot better.
yeah, we could have brought that
Like
mic
a computer
in.
with a mic.
Yeah, that probably would sound a lot better, especially since we're outside. And I think for the other outdoor ones, we'll have to think of things like that. But
Let us
between
know
the
how
AC
this-
and everything.
Yeah, let us know how the audio sounds on this, because if we can roll with this setup all the time, this is so simple and no hassle at all, really.
Mhm.
But with carrying around a mic and a laptop adds a couple of pounds, like if we actually had to hike up somewhere or something like that. But we can think about that in the long run. But that just came to my mind as we
Yeah,
were talking.
definitely good to note. But I guess the last thing that I really wanted to talk about today was the importance of building a brand, whether that's your personal brand or your business brand. Because we've seen, especially recently, that personal brands are like, if you're not working to grow your personal brand, you're probably a step or two behind.
At this point.
Yeah, and you're like, we're not even at a point where personal brands are 100% necessary. So if you're already behind, you're just going to continue to fall further and further behind the more that you go. And so like whether it's scientists making their own personal brands or YouTubers and influencers making one of their own, that's a huge marketplace that is going to very quickly outrun things like established businesses. Because for Mr. Beast, for example, like he's been going on all the podcasts that we were talking about earlier recently and sharing a lot about both himself, his personality, and then the businesses that he's created, from Mr. Beast Burgers to Feastables to anything else in between that he's done. And he's like absolutely killing it. And all it would take to think about like how impactful a business that he has could be would be taking either Mr. Beast Burgers or Feastables and looking at the fact that he has 100 million person captive audience that watches all of his content and that is going to be able to like see the things that he does. Whereas McDonald's, you may like McDonald's, but you're not really a captive audience of them. You're not going out seeing any of their content. I barely even watch TV anymore except for live sports, so I'm not seeing their commercials. I don't see any advertising for them, but I'll watch a Mr. Beast video, I'll watch a Logan Paul video, I'll see any of that there and see the impact that they're making.
Yeah. The cool thing about personal brands is like this: you start to learn people's stories, like what we were just talking about this entire time. Pretty much, just going on different rants or opinions on things. You just learn to actually like those people, and then that's when you start to actually like buy their own products and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what, like you said, Mr. Beast, Logan Paul, Beeple for NFTs.
I don't know if y'all saw that, but someone just about hit us with a golf ball. It's literally
4 left.
right there.
So basically that guy sucks at golf, so he won't ever be a golf content creator, but I am. So I'll teach him how to hit straighter golf balls if he comes up here.
Give him a quick little lesson on the walkthrough. Where did he even tee off? I think the red tee. That's a terrible shot. But yeah, there's a lot of huge personal brands that are being built like literally every single day, whether it's like we said, Mr. Beast with Feastables and Beast Burger, to Logan Paul and KSI launching Prime, which is like a energy, or not an energy drink, but a hydration beverage. And they just launched their new Hydration Plus sticks, which I've never had a blue Prime, so I figured while we talk through this section,
Give it a shot.
I'm gonna mix this one up and get a little taste review in here. But then you even have like a couple of my personal favorites are Yes Theory, where they took their whole message of like seeking discomfort and getting out of your comfort zone and built, honestly, it's half of the clothes that I own now, but some of my favorite clothing or apparel brand out there, where they're spreading a great message and sharing a lot with their community and actually having an impact on their community.
A big impact, I would say.
And then you have Arak. He's another larger creator who has just like an absolute love for pizza and has taken his love for pizza and created a partnership with Domino's where he's going to have the world record largest pizza at the end of this year and have a huge pizza party for that. And then also launched a company called Pizzafy based off that, where it's this, honestly, I bought it. It is ridiculous. It is a sauce that you put on things and it makes them have a quite particular pizza flavor. And since you can put pizza on anything, or like anything on pizza, it very much makes sense. But that stuff is really good. Then, like Aaron said, Beeple and his NFTs has created a pretty incredible brand where he's sold like over $250 million worth of
Well, if you think
NFTs.
about that, also with Logan Paul and Prime, he also had 99 originals, which all sold for pretty much like 15,000 all the way up to 300,000.
Yeah, all for another NFT where his was one of my favorite changes into NFTs, just because it showed that NFTs have more value than just digital art. So that was cool to see. But then whether you're a big creator, like all those people we just realized or mentioned are literally creating billion-dollar brands around their own personal image. But then you have smaller people like Colin and Samir, who you guys may know a little bit about them. If you're a content creator and an aspiring one, they're a really handy like resource to reach out to. And Colin and Samir just happen to be very integrated into the influencer community, and they've created a podcast around that where they just share like all the best practices and tips and tricks on how to grow your socials from the guys who are doing it at the top level, and sharing it with that small community of people who are wanting to be those professionals.
That's also like Good though. I mean, I know you're talking about.
Good Goods is an incredible one.
Good Goods channel is absolutely just incredible. I was looking up just like their whole business is just absolutely wild. They're shipping like thousands of dollars of cameras each week to different golf courses. All 6 of them go and play golf. They're playing like some of the nicest golf courses in the world. They sell out all their merch. I've seen so many people just playing now, just wearing their Good merch all the time, and I'm just like, that is absolutely insane. They're creating a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah, the crazy part golf with theirs is I would not be amazed at all, especially now that PGA is losing so much of its market share to Live, that Good could come in and be that third competitor where, like, I mean, if you guys have watched any of their videos, they'll put on tournaments, and there are more people at their tournaments than you see at some of the PGA tournaments, which is quite ridiculous for literally 6 dudes.
Yeah.
And then from there, you see Barstool making a huge play with Foreplay. The golf community as a whole is just like blowing up exponentially.
Nelk started a golf community too.
Yeah, Nelk does it. That kid, what is his name? Josh Richards, I think. He's the one who does the BFF podcast with Dave Portnoy. I just saw a video the other day where he took some professional LPGA player out and played with her for
Steph
a day.
Curry.
Yeah, Steph's huge into golf. It's a very quickly exploding market. But I got this one shaken up. This was the blue raspberry prime. Like I said, I've never had the blue one. I've had pretty much all the other flavors by now, I believe. So hopefully this one's pretty close to what it's like in the. I'll let Aaron give it a taste test to confirm.
I've tried the drink before. I haven't tried the powder.
He's had the real one. But that is quite solid. That is like an electric blueberry.
Yeah,
that one's real good. But yeah, like I would say that building your brand, whether it's your personal or business brand, is gigantic right now, because with the way that socials and everything is exploding, whether you're a mom and pop shop from down the road in whatever little small town that you live in, or you're someone who wants to be a personal content creator themselves, there's a lot of ways to be able to expand your market and expand your community and grow into whatever goals that you have. Because that's honestly, if I left you guys with anything, I would say your goals 9 times out of 10 are going to be attainable, even if they're like all the way at the rim of outer space. Like, they're going to be within reach. You just have to figure out the right plane to do it, and we're in an incredible time in like Earth that is allowing you to really be able to harness those things. Because we're here in Ringgold, Georgia. I don't know where you guys are watching this right now, but we can easily reach someone on the exact opposite side of the world without much effort.
I can literally pull out my phone and text anyone, probably like in India right now. If
So that's pretty
account.
incredible. And like, if you just know the right strategies, you can link up with us if you need some help with it. Then it's just a really good opportunity to grow yourself and your personal brand. But I would love to hear, how is this compared to the normal blue one, the non-powder?
I think it honestly may have lost a little bit of flavor. It tastes exactly like it almost, but it may have, like I said, just not
As strong.
Yeah, it's got a very distinct flavor, and it's a little stronger.
That's how I felt about the red one too. But I liked it because I thought that the bottled red one, it's not bad by any means, but I thought it was like a very overpowering flavor.
Yeah.
Especially to be as natural as it is, which was a little odd to me. But I would say that I sort of preferred the red powder over the red drink just because it wasn't as in your face with the flavor. It was more subtle.
Yeah. But yeah. You got anything else to talk about?
I don't think so. I think that was a solid pod. Hopefully the audio all comes through clear, and hopefully you guys were able to pull a little bit from this. But like we said, if you're looking to build that personal brand, feel free to reach out, whether it's in the comments on this video or by visiting our LinkedIn page. And we would love to chat with you guys and see what we could make happen for you and your brand or your business.
Definitely. Like you said, start creating your personal brand simply because I started 3 months ago, and I've gotten free hats like what I'm wearing right now. And even yesterday, I had people notice me just for playing golf. I had someone come through and ask me asked me if I was Aaron Touchstones, which obviously I said yes. And it was just cool just to pretty much meet fans of my TikTok pages within 3 months of creating it at this point, or 4 months.
Was this in real life, or
Yeah.
did I dream this, where I was with you and someone's like,
I was just
you
sending
play
text the
tennis?
first time.
'Cause I may have dreamed this then. Because I have the most vivid dreams. I'll dive into some of my dreams in a couple later podcasts. But like last night's was really interesting. But I had a dream. It may have been part of the one last night, and that may be why it's on my mind so much. But someone came up to us and they were like, "Oh, you play tennis, don't you?" And we were like, "Well, we do, but why?" And then they were like particularly looking at you, and I was like, "Do you mean golf?" And then they said yes or whatever. So that very much could have just been a dream.
Yeah.
If you don't recall that experience.
Wasn't me.
Yeah. So
But anyways, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we'll see you in the next one.
peace.